Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey here. We are taking a look at 8 of the top bounce-back candidates for the Cowboys this season. Players who at one point had a good season, were good, but maybe weren't good last year or maybe the last 2 years. Some of these guys do fall into the make-or-break category as well, but tiebreaker went to bounce back because at least they've done it once before. We are just 33 subs away from 217,000 here on the Cowboys Report. At least 33 of you are watching the video right now, and you're not subscribed. You've probably watched before. If you love the Cowboys, you're in the right spot. Hit that sub button for me right now. Did you expect anything else at number 1? It's obviously Dak Prescott. Now, we're going in order of position, but if we were to rank the most important, it's the quarterback. We have seen Dak Prescott put up near MVP production, and I would even argue should have been MVP back in 2023. But he also wasn't as good last year. The injury at the end of the year obviously was a factor, but he wasn't playing up to his normal standards in 2024. In fact, I was more concerned about the 2024 performance than I was the 2022 performance because those interceptions last year or him trying to do too much. Wasn't the receiver's fault the same way it really was in 2022. There were issues in 2024 that were Dak's fault. I think the offensive play calling was an issue, but he didn't play well enough. Staying healthy is also a pretty massive component in this entire conversation. Look, Dak Prescott is the highly paid quarterback, the highest paid quarterback for probably at least one more cycle. We'll see if that changes with Lamar Jackson due for a new deal too. But there's no one more important to this Cowboys team from an individual perspective than the quarterback. Doesn't mean he can do it by himself. Doesn't mean you should ever want him to do it by himself. But if you just want to do the percentage of the cap, it's a lot of it. He has to play better this upcoming season. So I want you guys to rank Dak Prescott for me among NFL QBs. Sound off in the comments section of today's show. I think there's a lot of different valid ways you can evaluate the top NFL QB if we take the Cowboys fandom glasses off. From a variety of different lists, focusing on different elements of play and what they prefer in their quarterbacks. I have seen Dak inside the top 5 or near it, and that's too rich for my blood, especially coming off of last year. I'm not putting him in the same conversation as the Burrows, the Allens, the Lamars, the Mahomeses. I don't think many people are. I've also seen Dak at near or at 20, and that doesn't make any sense to me either because that just doesn't, there's no way. Like, we have eyes unless we're just, first one was being homers, that one's being haters. My view is that he should be top 10 or fringe top 10. If you want to rank him 12th or 13th or whatever, that doesn't really matter all that much. Or I think you're applying double standards. Like, if you're extremely focused on the playoff stuff, that's fine. I get it. Then don't put Geno Smith ahead of him. Like, come on. Let's be serious here. Either way, Dallas needs 2023 Dak Prescott to show up. He has to show up this year. Even 2021 was not that different of a player. Like, you have to have good play out of your quarterback. Otherwise, as good as the others are going to play around him or not play around him, it doesn't end up mattering. It's still a team sport, but you need the individual performance from Dak to be better than what it was last year. We'll do these next 2 players together. That's Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. They both fit in the same bucket. They've actually been good before, but if they're not good this year, boy, you wonder if they're about to be out of the NFL, and that kind of puts them in the make or break category. They have not had good seasons the past couple of years, and if they don't do it this year, they've got a fantastic opportunity. Fair to wonder if they ever will again or even get a real shot again. Miles Sanders was one of the most efficient backs in the NFL with Philadelphia. That was behind the best offensive line in football. He goes to Carolina, was a massive disappointment on the contract. I don't think you're going to get 5 yards per carry out of him, but I can't get 3.5 per carry out of him either. That's not going to cut it for me in the modern day NFL. Javonte Williams looked really intriguing as a rookie back in 2021. He looked good before the injury in 2022. He says he's doing better now with the medical, but he hasn't been overly productive, and I don't think Denver's offensive line was that bad. Look, both guys, do fall into that make or break category of like, if they don't do it this year, who's to say they ever will? But this is a prime opportunity for them to bounce back. Now, as promised, we will have an upcoming video on those who are entering a make or break year. Different players than what we've discussed for breakouts or bounce backs, even though there could be some overlap there. 2 more offensive players to go. First up is Jake Ferguson, the tight end. He had a strong 2023. He looked like a fringe top 10 NFL tight end. He had great chemistry with Dak Prescott. The seam balls worked well. He put up 761 yards. That was his second year in the NFL. It was reasonable to expect another jump forward from Jake Ferguson. Didn't remotely happen. Didn't even get to 500 yards. Did not record a touchdown. Didn't look right with the knee injury. Just never looked the way he did in 2023. And that was an issue for the Cowboys offense. He's also in a contract season. And I do wonder, to some extent, how much his chemistry with Dak elevates him. You know, we saw that with Dalton Schultz, had good chemistry with Dak. Also had good chemistry with C.J. Stroud. Those guys have played well, but he did not have the same stuff with Cooper Rush. And you know, is he a player who gets elevated by the quarterback or helps elevate the QB? I think that's what you got to figure out based on this year as it gets to contract time next offseason. Terence Steele is next up. And I think you could easily put him in the make or break category because if he doesn't play well, he's going to get cut. Like, the contract is extremely movable after this upcoming season. But the Cowboys aren't planning on that. They expect Terence Steele to have a return to form with the new coaching staff. That is what they anticipate. They believe that Terence Steele has the ability to be better, to show more, to look more like the guy he was in 2022. In 2022, he was a fantastic run blocker. He was okay overall and had some issues in pass protection. But then in 2023, he was just outright bad. He wasn't the same guy coming back from the injury. In 2022, he was better than he was in 2023, but not as good as he was in 2024, both run blocking and pass blocking. Another year removed from the injury should help. The coaching staff change, the scheme change should help. But he's never going to be an elite pass protector. And there is still questions if he can return to that 2022 form. So what is your confidence level in Terence Steele? Be honest with me and scale it in the comments, 1 to 10. Next up is DeMarvion Overshown, the linebacker. He has played well when healthy, both in the preseason and in the actual games that matter. And even though it's a very small sample size, I saw enough impactful play from Overshown in those 12 and a half games back in 2024 that I think he's done it before and he can do it again. So I'm putting him in the bounce back category, and I think it'd be massive for your defense to have the type of rangy sideline to sideline player. I think is a big deal for the defense. It's just fingers crossed he can stay healthy this upcoming. Get healthy and stay healthy, I should say. How about DaRon Bland? Almost, I would argue, is an assumed bounce-back candidate. Like, we think he's going to be better. He was just hurt last year. He went from 5 pick sixes in 2023 to only 7 games played in 2024, and once he got back, there wasn't often massive reason to target him in coverage. Every year except last year, he's had at least 5 interceptions. He got 14 picks through what amounts to really 2.5 seasons. That's really good production. And frankly, the Dallas Cowboys need DaRon Bland to carry them at corner to begin the season. I don't think Trayvon Diggs will be ready for week 1. I think he's going to miss time. We'll see when Savone Revel, is healthy, but I think more realistically, when he is ready to contribute as a rookie, as a third-round pick, as a guy coming off injury who missed OTAs in minicamp. And also, DaRon Bland himself is in a contract year. You know he wants to get paid. If the Cowboys believe in him, I'd pay him now, but we know how they tend to operate. These are the top 8 candidates I think could bounce back for the Cowboys. Which player are you most confident will bounce back this season? Let me know in the comments of today's show. One more defender, and that is Markquese Bell. He went from a pleasant surprise playing at a position at linebacker in 2023 and playing actually kind of super well, especially in coverage, that had issues taking on bigger players online against the run because he was light, to a complete non-factor this past season. And I do wonder if that was a coaching thing. For whatever reason, Mike Zimmer just didn't want to play Markquese Bell, didn't want to play Wanye Thomas. It was Donovan Wilson, it was Malik Hooker, and nobody else rotated in. To put this in perspective, defense only, Markquese Bell went from playing almost 650 snaps regular season on defense to 34. That was it. He didn't play. The production fell off a cliff because it got cut into a minute portion. So can and will Matt Eberflus use him? I hope so. The Cowboys extended Markquese Bell on a deal that I liked. I think that gives me hope the Cowboys will find a way to deploy him and utilize him. He's coming off the injury, should be good to go for camp. Not worried about that. I want to see what he can do, and I bet many of you agree. I know there's plenty of anti-Donovan Wilson comments, and I get it. He's had some major coverage issues. If you could only pick one to start, who would it be? DW for Donovan Wilson, MB for Markquese Bell.